Hi, I'm Christopher Dirks, and this is my Module 5, Understanding My Community for Hood River Valley High School in Hood River, Oregon. So taking a sociological inventory, we kind of have two communities in our area. One is a little more wealthy. They're mainly older and white. Some are here for retirement. Others are here because they're small business owners. The kind of poorer community works mostly in agriculture, and they're Hispanic. Agriculture is a big part of our kind of economy: pears, apples, cherries, and blueberries. Tourism plays a role in that too, especially in the summers with windsurfing and kiteboarding. And then the winters living on Mount Hood, snowboarding and skiing. The community is very connected. We have Lions Club, the Fair Board, FFA, 4-H, athletics. There's lots of other clubs in the area. It's a Title I school district, so we're 53% free and reduced lunch, 32% Hispanic, and that based on current politics, that causes fear with some families in the area. Customs and traditions. So there's kind of a laid back feeling in the lower valley of Hood River, taking advantage of the recreation in the area. In the upper valley, it's a little more, like I said earlier, fear, hard work, um, working on the farms. Local people are mostly into outdoors, hiking, biking, and using the mountain and the river for sport. Based on the lifestyles people have, there's an influx of recreation-based services throughout the area. So there's lots of um, companies that do tours and rent recreational um, things like bikes, kayaks, stuff like that. Economics and race play a strong role in our community. There are wealthy families that have more opportunities to succeed, where poor families look for support from their high school students. So that kind of makes their ability to do extracurriculars like sports a little bit harder because they need to help with the family, whether that's babysitting or working. Um, Changes in effect. Our athletic director is working to make sports more accessible to all in the area. So there's kind of a focus being put on that. Population characteristics, the education level, so high school or higher is 79.6%, and a bachelor's degree or higher is 30%. The age in the area, under 18 is 24% of our community. 65 years and older is 15%. The sex is about a 50-50 split, male to female. Occupations, 66% in the labor force are 16 years and older, and the median household income is $57,296. Race, creed, and nationality. So 32% Hispanic, 63% white, and about 3% multi-race. Communication channels. So the radio, that's probably the biggest one. A lot of our athletics are on there. A lot of important community announcements go on there. The school district mainly operates on email. We get text alerts. So if there's something, my brother works for the city of White Salmon, which is across the river from us, and they send out text alerts for things like if the water's not safe to drink. So important emergency information. Letters on upcoming information, elections, things like that. The newspaper, kind of like a weekly update of what's going on. Most uses the radio and the text, and both of those are in English and Spanish. Community groups. So for the community, there's car clubs, Elks Club, Lions Club, Eagles Club, mountain biking clubs, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. Any recreational activity, there's probably a club for it. As far as the school goes, there's robotics, athletics, Asian Club, Young Life kind of operates through the high school. We have our own snowboarding club as well, 4-H, FFH, or sorry, FFA and 4-H. There's a lot of other clubs as well. For a while, there was a Rubik's Cube club, so students can kind of make their own clubs. And most of these groups are available to students and help to promote healthy and positive lifestyles. Known leadership, our community is small and therefore influenced by the school district in many ways. So the next closest kind of city is about an hour away. So a lot of what happens in our area is kind of centered around the school district. Other leaders in the community are also involved in the school district through coaching and club support. So a lot of other leaders in our community coach sports. And these clubs and teams mostly influence the students, sometimes the parents as well. Community leaders' characteristics. Many examples of keeping up with the times. Suspension of players' emergency actions plan. So there's been a few situations where keeping up with the times meant knowing about things like vaping. There's been a lot of kids that um, the leaders know what's going on, and they're able to kind of enforce suspensions based on that, unfortunately. Emergency action plans are mandatory for all coaches. They also need coaching certifications and background checks. There's a lot of trainings outside of our community and district. Like, for example, me and the other basketball coaches, we're going to go to a training in Portland, which is about an hour away next week. Students that are employed by the school district or are in a club or play a sport uh, tend to be more successful in our area. So I think that speaks to kind of the leaders that they're working with. No economic conditions. 53% free and reduced lunch. A lot of employment is through agriculture with orchards and vineyards. There's a lot of small business owners downtown, like kind of the main tourist area with clothing and sporting equipment. There's industries. There's timber and tourism. Employment stability. There's kind of a high demand for jobs because it's a desired location. So um, once you get a job, there's some stability there, but it's pretty competitive to get jobs here. Wage conditions, the average household income, as I said earlier, is about 53,000, and it's a very high cost of living. So you know, it's a little bit difficult to um, stay in the area. Land use is mostly agricultural, but moving towards housing, they're taking out a lot of orchards and putting in new housing developments. Political structure. Politics have been a big impact on our students given the current state of our political system and the fact that our community is very Hispanic. Sometimes there's discomfort at school for school assemblies and things like that. More money is spent at the state and local levels on education than any other function of government. And just recently, we got actually more money from our state. We also passed a bond about a year ago um, to get some new buildings for our school. So that's good. Social tension. From my standpoint, I feel like there's little social tension in our area. If you want to like put them into cookie cutters, the lower valley is a little bit more rich and preppy. The upper valley is a little bit more of, redneck, potentially racist. But I think that's more of a public view of it. I don't think it's, I don't, at least I don't feel like it's that way. Um, the causes is there's a big push from the school district and the value of tourism and its benefits to kind of keep it away from creating social tension. There has been a variety of people in this community since its beginning. So the area was kind of developed with Asian Americans. There's a lot of Hispanic Americans live here. So it's always been kind of a diverse area. Extra sources of information. Community magazines, we get a lot of those in the mail. There's gorge activities, so things that are going on in our area. There's community education, sends out a magazine with more information about clubs and events. Community college in our area sends out information. There's also another one that's the Gorge Deals. Small businesses give deals to local people. Power structure. The school unofficially, school board, superintendent, principals and administrators, teachers, then parents and students. I feel like that's pretty typical for most uh, uh, power structures in schools. Unofficially, angry and rich parents, I feel like have a little bit more power to get their way. Also, teachers with a voice. So we have a lot of teachers who kind of stand up, help out the rest of the teachers. So it can be good and bad. So that's what this slide is. The school power structure is in place to keep the best interests of the students and community in mind. The unofficial structure can be positive and negative. It isn't great to let parents have too much power. Teachers with a voice, but teachers with a voice keep the best interests of the teachers as a whole in mind for the most part. Some of it, of course, is going to be for individual gain. Multicultural issues in coaching, making sure that athletics are accessible to all students in the district can be challenging, especially with the more wealthy areas and then the kind of more poor areas. Just making sure it's available to all those students. That's an issue from my point of view. Um, weave the culture into school. So our school does a cultural week once a year. We also have school dances, and then we also have bailes, which are Mexican dances. So I think we do a pretty good job of being aware of that. The dress code permits creativity and excludes gang-related or drug and alcohol references. Measuring public opinion perception data is important to keep all stakeholders happy. It helps the school district support and inform stakeholders. And at the end of the day, the decision should be made to improve student learning. So, kind of getting a poll of the public opinion can help the administrators, school leaders make decisions. But as I said, at the end of the day, it should be to improve student learning, um, not only to improve the public view. So some different surveys we've used: student and parent surveys at conferences and at the end of the year. So every conference time, we give parents an iPad and they take a survey about um, kind of how they're being informed about their students, and whether that's working or not, suggestions for future conferences. And then the same thing happens at the end of the year with seniors, just kind of an idea of how their 4 years went and suggestions to improve. Personal interviews on the radio, those mostly happen post events, so sporting events, um, plays through theater, things like that. That's really the only time, to my knowledge, that we do personal interviews. And that is my presentation. Thank you.